What's going on? What's going on? We want to welcome everybody to the 7 Footers Opinionated Podcast. And we got a special guest. We got my dog in the building, Jamal Crawford, the only person in history, the oldest person in history to score a 50-point game in the NBA. He scored 50 on multiple franchises, 3-time Sixth Man of the Year award. Listen, should have had more. Come on, fam. What is going on? My dog, Jamal Crawford. What's up, dog?
What up, man? I can't beat that introduction. What's up, y'all?
What's going on, man? Good to have you, man.
Man, glad to be here. I've been seeing the stuff. I'm honored to be on the show.
Man, what you been doing, man? COVID-19, what you been doing to keep busy?
Man, online schooling, for sure. That's priority number one. The first week we're a little, razzle-dazzle, but my wife settled in and she got a schedule for everybody. And then we even worked in recess. So, Everything is dialed in now. And then just working out. That's it.
Now, you say you're working out. Are you working out? You still trying to play? Or are you just working out just to stay fit? What you trying to do?
Both. I would love to play, you know what I mean? But I've been sitting on the sideline for the whole season anyway. So just love of the game. I love to stay in shape. With me, I've always been in shape, and I don't like the feeling of not being in shape. If that call comes, I'll be ready for it. But I'm not, just basing everything, my workouts on that because, I'm doing it for me.
Now, you talked about your workouts, but I got to find out. We know who you are now. We know who you were in the league, but we got to know who you were a long time ago, man. For myself, it was going to the Boys and Girls Club. It was playing on the streets. It was getting roughed up by old dudes. We used to get on our bikes to find a run. It wasn't nothing like, some young boys were trying to find where the club is. We were like, yo, where the run's at? We were trying to find anywhere we could hoop. And to me, just playing in the streets, that gave me my basketball DNA, the trash talk, the elbows, the physical play. I know Brendan and y'all tease me about the fouling. You know what I'm saying?
So on the streets, that's where you learn to foul? That's where you learn to hack?
Hey, no blood, no foul. No blood, no foul. But fam, take me to them days, man. What made you who you were? One of the most prolific scorers we have ever seen in the NBA. Like, who was the first person that imprinted into you just like, man, I can score the basketball like this. You love pickup. You love the hoop. Where did that come from?
For me, it was always, nowadays, like I have 2 sons, right? And now this generation, they have trainers. Everybody has a trainer. They have somebody they're working with. For me and for us, the old heads, the trainers were the older dudes who was playing against. So I remember being on the court, 11, 12 years old, playing with grown men. And you won't get the ball sometimes. You learn how to play, though. You know what I mean? You got to learn to play without the ball. They gave you a different confidence. So when you get hit and get up. That's a foul. Okay, get up. You have to earn your stripes. You know what I mean? You get this open shot, you better make it or they ain't going to pick you up. When they're not picking you up, you sit on the sideline for 5 games. You know what I mean? So the old guys looking back were like the trainers. They was telling us how to play, what you should be doing, how to simplify things, and it gave us that confidence. So we went back with kids our age. It was like, oh, this is easy. Like, I've been playing with grown men. You know what I mean? So my confidence is through the roof. What really took off for me, to be honest with you, when I was 16 years old, the pro-am I got now, it was Doug Christie's pro-am at the time. And I played he let me play. I was one of the only high school kids to play. I played on his team. And I remember the first 3 or 4 games, I didn't score. Like, I was so nervous out there. I only got a couple shots, but I was like, man, in my confidence, I'm playing against overseas dudes. I'm playing against Damon Stoudemire. I'm playing against Shanika Dare. I'm playing against Cliff Robinson. I'm playing against Sean Kemp, right? So I'm like, dang. Doug rolls his ankle 2 weeks later. And the coach was like, just go. He's like, you got game, just go. I averaged 30 the rest of the way at 16. I ended up making the All-Star game. And that's when I really was like, okay, the stuff I'm doing on the playgrounds, on the streets can work against grown men in the actual game setting. So it gave me even more confidence. So now I'm like, in Seattle, we had the Sonics at the time. My name took off so much. I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm trying to give you the story. My name took off so much that Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and them were coming to my high school games every game, right?
Dang.
So after those 2, I would honestly say I was probably the most popular player in Washington, period, at any basketball level, right? It became like a thing. This before social media, we got to go see him play. But my mindset was like, if I'm playing against pros doing this, when I get to high school, it's going to be a show, right? And so for me, it gave me a whole different level of confidence. And that's when I really was like, okay, you can score at any level. It doesn't matter who's out there. The stuff you can do, the and one type street game can work in a game setting. And, at that time we was coming up, and one was big. So people was like, yeah, you can do that on the playground, but you can't do that in the real, the best players in the world, right? What coach is going to let you do all this? And so that's the thing I'm probably most proud about my career. I never lost myself. 19 coaches, come off the bench, 6 man, whatever. I never lost who I was in my identity.
And I like how you said the and one stuff you realize could be used in the game, because it's become a little bit of a touchy subject.
Yep.
Because Trae Young doing the nutmeg, and we saw obviously where Trevor Ariza didn't appreciate that, and he fouled Trae Young hard. I didn't like the move by Trevor. I think that if you get mad at somebody pulls a move off on you, stop him. You have a famous nutmeg. Like, listen, one of my guys, one of my brothers, Steve Smith, always tells me the story that when Jamal Crawford went between my legs, that's when I knew it was time for me to retire. Where are you with the yeah, he'll tell you anybody that story. Where are you with today's game and guys using and one mixtape moves or the nutmegs and things of that nature? Do you think Trae Young is justified for using that move, or should he temper it down?
Honestly, I think Trae's just being him. So I think for Trae, like when I did to Steve, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. Like he was playing the power forward position. And he stepped out of bounds, so I really had nowhere else to go. Granted, I had done the move a million times, but at that moment, like that's what made me do it. And that's why I think one other time I did it, I was trying to be disrespectful to a player, but he was trying to climb into me a little bit too much towards the end of the game. It was with the Clippers, though, Ryan.
Who was that? Hey, let us know who
you
was
talking about too.
I think it's my man DeCarlo from the Spurs.
Oh, Carlos Delfino?
I think his last name is DeCarlo, maybe.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yes. And I want to say you hit Manu with it too, if I'm not mistaken. You might have hit Manu. I'm not sure.
I hit Manu. It wasn't with that one though, but I hit him with something. But Manu, all respect to Manu, he's cold. But so I kind of see both points, because as an OG, think about when we were growing up and doing it on the playground. One of them OGs would have, hit us in the chest like, "Hey, don't be out here." You know what I mean? So I understood both points. And what I did like is that Trevor went up to him afterwards, like, "Hey, it wasn't nothing personal. I'm just letting you know, if you're gonna pull that off, be prepared for it. The foul that's going to come after that." So it was all love, and I like how both of them handled it.
Hey, on the low, Seattle's like one of the most slept-on hotbeds for NBA talent, man.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy, B, because when I was coming out, only Doug Wren and Jason Terry and Mike Dickerson kind of went to the pros, right? So in our area, if you went to big-time D1, if you went to UConn or Michigan or North Carolina or Duke or any of these schools, or UCLA, like that was like going pro at the time, because more guys were getting scholarships for football than basketball. So after Jason Terry went, then I went, and the door just like kicked open. And you got B. Roy coming. Now you got Nate Robinson coming, Terrence Williams, Isaiah Thomas. You got all these dudes.
Marvin Williams. Don't forget to shout out my UNC brother.
There you go. Marvin Williams, Aaron Brooks, Will Conway. We got all these dudes that just come out. And now I think we got like 30 dudes who are in the league since the time we came in. 30, 35, maybe 40 guys. Avery Bradley. Like it's so many guys now. Yeah, a bunch of guys.
Yeah, like Seattle has a lot of talent, and obviously you moved on from that pro-am. Then you went on to Michigan. Career wasn't quite as long there. Some things happened with the NCAA. Listen, but tell me about. You don't have to tell me about what happened. But now
I want to get it. I want to talk about it all.
You want to get into it?
Let's go.
What happened with the situation in Michigan?
What happened was this. So when I was in high school, Seattle's like a huge tech place, right? Like you see the Microsofts and all that. So there was a guy who was a family friend who was pretty well off. So sometimes I would kind of stay with him. I would stay at home. I was kind of floating a little bit. But anyways, he got like tutors for me. He would get clothes for me, give me a car to drive. It wasn't my car, but he let me drive the car. The thing was, Michigan was like, after coming off the tractor trailer situation and the Maurice Taylor situation, all that, we just want to, get in front of it and turn it in. You haven't broke any rules. This isn't an alumni. This isn't an AAU coach. This is none of that. So they were like, we're just going to turn it in. So cool. I'm like, I ain't got nothing to hide. Go ahead. I'm playing right before we about to play Michigan State. We're about to play Mateen Cleveland. This year they won a national championship. Mm-hmm. They pulled me off the court. Like, we got to do this investigation. It'll take a day or two. You'll miss this game. You'll be back. I'm like, all right. I mean, I don't want to miss this game, but okay. That turns into me being banned from college basketball. They didn't even tell me I was banned. Michigan didn't. I guess they didn't want to hurt my feelings. Then they appealed that. I won the appeal, and they're like, okay, well, you got to miss the next, I think it was 7 games. But
Michigan sat on the ban? They knew you were banned. They never told you.
Yeah, they never told me I heard it 2 different ways. I'm being all the way honest. So the ban, I guess they appealed it as soon as it happened. So they were like, they didn't want it to get to that point. So as soon as it happened, they appealed it, and then they won for whatever reason. And I got 7 games. I think I got 7 or 9 games. Whatever it was, it wasn't enough games in the season for me to finish out. Like Michigan would have had to go to the Big Ten tournament, win that, get to the NCAA tournament, win a couple games, and then I could have played. But at that point, I'm like, man, I'm just going to put my name in the draft and see what happens. Because I mean, I thought I'd be good enough, not my freshman year, maybe sophomore year. I'm like, all right, let me see what happens. I go to camp, blow up, and the lottery pick, and that was the rest of history.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I always wanted to go to Michigan, though, like the Fab Five, and like I love them. And once they said I had Jalen Rose's locker, like that was it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going.
So we all grew up loving the Fab. The Fab Five. I think the Fab Five and UNLV had to be the two coolest
for sure
teams as far as in the black community. Like in the black community, even if you didn't traditionally like those teams, you roll with them because they swag was so high. Like, you know, Michigan came out there with the black Huaraches and the black socks, the baggy shorts. Man. We all wanted to be like Chris Webber and Jalen Rose and those guys. Jimmy King, Juwan Howard.
For sure. And the thing was, like you said, before them is the Running Rebels, right? So you had Tark and Greg Anthony and Larry Johnson, Stacey Augman, and Anderson Hunt, and those boys killing, right? And so for me, Michigan was like closer to my era. So I'm like, you know what, if I ever get the opportunity. So I went on a visit one time, committed right afterwards. And you know, I just loved it. Like it was cold. It was the first time experiencing cold, but I was like, this is a lifelong dream. I've always wanted to come here.
Fam, you just touched on something really big earlier. You were drafted to the Bulls, end up being a lottery pick. And those are big shoes, as you know, to fill. Because you weren't, listen, I know you came in as a point guard, played a little two, played, you know, combo both ways. But you're sitting in the house that Michael Jordan built.
Man.
In the house that Michael Jordan built. And I want to throw this to you here. I'm not sure if it happened in Chicago or where it was. And we alluded to earlier, you're one of the greatest, if not the greatest in my mind, six man in history, ever.
No question.
So, Jamal, tell me the first conversation where what coach or what GM, who came to you and said, Jamal, we're going to bring you off the bench. And how did you react to it?
Okay. So I guess before being a true six man, right, where I got to a point where it was like, I'm okay with it. So at first, I'm a lottery pick. And as you guys both know, when you're a lottery pick going to a team who's not that good, you think you're going to play more, right? You're like, I'm going to get out there and play a lot. That didn't really happen with me. You know, Coach Tim Floyd at the time was like, okay, we kind of bumped heads a little. He's like, I'm going to kind of teach you a lesson, right? And so I didn't play much. Working out with Jordan, and we'll go back in the story, but working out with Jordan that summer, I tear my ACL. So going into my second year where my game is really about to take off, I get hurt. I come back, start a little bit, come off the bench a little bit. We end up doing pretty good. Then the next year, I'm like, okay, I'm about to have a full year at this thing. We draft Jay Williams from Duke. And he's a point guard, right? So there's a lot of hoopla around him as well. So we're battling every single day. Finally, towards the end of the third year, they're like, we're going to play you guys together because they wouldn't play us together. And our team kind of took off. Then that summer, Jay gets hurt on the motorcycle. Mm-hmm. So now the fourth year in Chicago, which is my last year, I ended up being a full-time two guard because we got Kirk Heinrich and I started scoring more. And they were like, oh, you're a two. So that's where that kind of went. But go back a little bit. I met Michael Jordan because my dad was like, the draft process, like, hey, MJ likes your game. I'm like, Dad, this is before social media. There's no way you can know this. What you mean, Michael Jordan? Right. So
hold on. If you a kid and you hear Mike, like you coming out, Michael Jordan likes my game, brother.
Hold on, I gotta give you
brother.
Man, come on, man. My dad played. So my dad played at the University of Oregon. He played with Kevin Love's dad at Oregon, actually. So he's in the know a little bit, but I'm like, come on, Dad, right? So he tells me that fast forward, I get drafted by the Bulls. Tim Grover calls me one morning, like, hey, MJ said that you could meet him. I'm like, what? I drive down there. I go to the gym, get there like 7 a.m. It's MJ, Tim Grover, and myself in the weight room. And I'm not trying to talk too much. MJ's working out. This is before he came back to the Wizards to play with you, B.
Okay.
So I'm like, man, I'm just talking to him. He's like, hey, you can work out with me this summer. I'm like, all right, cool. So I started working out with him that summer. We played together. This is a true story. We played together every day, and we never lost one game. And when I say one game, I don't mean like we won 5 that day and somebody else won 2 games. Like we didn't lose one single game within that. I promise you, we played against Antoine Walker. We played against Ray Allen. We played against Mike Finley. We played against Penny. We played against everybody. We never lost. So Jordan took a real interest in me. He tried to trade for me actually to get to Washington, but Krause wasn't going for it. Krause drafted me, by the way. I used to go to his house. He helped pick my surgeon who was going to have the surgery for ACL. I went to Alabama because he was down there with the Barons. Like I was in a commercial with him. That 39 versus 23, he picked me to be in with him. Like our relationship just really took off. And my dad knew that because my dad went to school at Oregon. That's where Ahmad Rashad was. And Ahmad Rashad and Jordan like this. So that's what my dad, he didn't tell me at the time, but that's how he was so sure that Jordan liked my game.
No, that's got to, like you said, that's got to definitely be incredible. Being drafted, coming in, going through what you had to go through, then finding out that Jordan really loved your game. But you said something that was interesting to me. You said Jay Will was drafted. You were a point guard already on the team. Take me through some of those practices, because I know, whenever I had to go against people that played my position in practice, and it was like, hey, we don't know who the starter going to be. Oh, hey, practice turned into games. Like, were you cooking Jay in practice? What was that like? Was he giving it back to you? What did that look like? Because I know you a bucket getter at an extreme level.
We went at it. There were days I got the better of him. There were days he got the better of me. Like, we went at it every single day. And it made it uncomfortable at first because me and Jay knew each other. We were the same high school class, right? At the time, Duke was the #1 recruiting class. Michigan and some polls were #2. Some polls, he was the #1 point guard in the country. Some I was #2. Some I was way down there. But so we were familiar with each other. You know what I mean? And at that point, I had 2 years of NBA experience, even though I hadn't played much. And he was coming fresh off of college and all the success he had. But the real issue was they would never play us together. So it made us really go at each other like, okay, either he's in the game or I'm in the game. He's in the game. I remember one time, and you guys can look this up, I had to leave Seattle. I had to leave and come back to Seattle because my grandmother she passed. So I had to come to the funeral. The time that I come for the funeral, he gets a triple-double against Jason Kidd. He has 26 points, 14 assists, 12 rebounds. So I'm like, oh, my God. Not only am I dealing with my family stuff, he's really showing off. If he ain't got me breathing down his neck, he's even better. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to look over his shoulder, and vice versa. I was looking over my shoulder. So they wouldn't play us together. By the end of the season, they played us together the last 20 games. I think we won majority of those games, and me and him both were balling. It was like two guards just going, you got it? Okay, you go. I got it, I go. And we just played off each other beautifully. And then the next summer, we're like, okay, next year we come back together. His second year, my fourth, we'll be ready. And then the motorcycle incident happened. So it was just bad timing, man, and bad luck.
Man, real quick, I'm going to ask you a doubleheader because you one of our best guests, man. Appreciate this. Give me a play in practice or something Jay Will would do, because a lot of people, they know him from ESPN. They sleep on what he was in college. They don't know what he was even in college and even in the league. Give me something, and then you got to give me one of MJ's coldest moments during those runs. You know, a play he had, something you would, a play y'all would run.
I'm gonna give y'all that.
Okay.
All right, so with Jay, he was wicked. His game was wicked. Jay was to me, he was like the Reggie Bush of college basketball, how Reggie Bush was in football. You know what I mean? Like his hype, his game, he was strong, he could shoot. He was a score-first guard. You know what I mean? And the thing that kind of hurt him at the time, we were still kind of running the triangle. Well, Jay's best with the ball in his hands, right? And running the pick and rolls and being an attacker. So when in those days in practice, he was able to do that. He put on shows. But if he had to run the triangle and I knew where he was going to be at and vice versa, then it's a little bit different. And make no mistake, the triangle can work, but a guy who's a ball-dominant guy, it kind of takes out his hands a little bit. So Jay would have, there was practices we went at it, almost to blows. Like we were on and off the court. We were that, we both cared. We both cared about playing and wanted to be out there. So we had days we went at it. MJ, I remember one day he came to the gym. It's a true story. He came to the gym. He had on a yellow, and B, he got everything tucked perfectly. He got a yellow.
He got the high tuck up to the belly button. Up to the belly button. I don't even know how he still gets his tailor to make his pants that go all the way up to his ribs past his belly button, but he do it.
I don't know how he could still shoot like that. So he got everything tucked perfectly, baggy shorts, everything. He got on a yellow Jordan outfit. It's like black, white, and some yellow in it. Same type Jordans. The Jordans probably still ain't out to this day. And outside, he got a yellow Ferrari to match. I'm like, this dude's just cold, man. Like, he was just sending messages like that. Like, one dude, I ain't gonna say no names. One dude was, MJ, I'm ready. I can lock that up. He said, there's 250,000 people trying to stop Michael Jordan. Get in line. You've seen all the tapes. Michael Jordan's playground. Michael Jordan's airtime. He started running out all the home videos.
That sounds like MJ. That's the MJ I played with. That sound like him. That sounds just like him now.
Hey, I ain't never told that story. Y'all the only ones to get that. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like he was just cold. He was just cold in every way.
What happened? Okay, what happened in the game once they start playing?
We didn't lose. I'm telling you. Ryan, we didn't lose one game. My man, look, one time I had the ball, right? And I threw it like a baseball pass full court. And when I threw it, I said, oh, that was too far. Like I was like, oh, I threw that too far. He jumped up. He's 40 years old. He jumped up with one mitt. He grabbed the ball in one hand, touched it on the ground, and dunked like he was still. I was like, oh, my God. Like, I knew I threw it too far. Anybody, I'm like, oh, that was a bad. I was like, ooh, that was a bad pass. So I threw it. He jumped up in 1 minute, dribbled it in one motion, dunked it. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, the MJ got some big hands, man.
Got them big.
His hands no lie, MJ's hands are as big as mine.
Oh, for sure. He caught the ball. He caught it with one hand, didn't even touch with the other hand, dribbled and dunked it off one step. I said, this guy's unbelievable. 40 years old. Now,
obviously, we're talking about MJ, and right now, what's really popular, everybody's talking about The Last Dance. What was your thoughts on The Last Dance? Did you obviously watched it? Like, did you think MJ gave a little bit too much? Was he snitching? Did he not? Did he just tell things from his point of view? Like, what did you think about the documentary as a whole?
I never looked at it like snitching, to be honest with you. I think he just told from his point of view. And I was happy to see it for multiple reasons. One of them was, and you know, B, that's MJ every day. If you're around him, that's him. Like, he's so, like, before that, I think for a lot of people, he's so guarded and he's so protected. You see him, you see the shoes, you see the highlights, you see he's always put together. Hey, he had his drink, and it was just, he was in the barbershop talking, telling his truth, number one. And number two, I love how kids were able to see what made him tick. And that's, for me, when everybody talks about Jordan, anybody, I'm not going to say any names because not everybody, some people have gotten compared to him, not just LeBron, Kobe has, a lot of people. The difference was his competitiveness and what made him tick. Like, it wasn't, every game meant the world to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like I'm taking games off. It wasn't like, he wasn't trying to convince people he was the greatest. He was actually just trying to be the greatest. He wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't on going around doing, you know what I mean? He wasn't.
I'm not gonna lie, we definitely keeping that clip. We definitely that's some gold right there. He wasn't trying to convince people he was the greatest. He was just trying to be the greatest. That's a lot different than some people today.
Am I lying? Like, he didn't care about brands at the core of who he is. He cared about the game. He cared about being the best he could be, and he cared about winning. And everything else, it's going to fall in line. That's how he looked at it. It was that simple for him. You know, so I loved it. I mean, I've watched every one twice already. I'm going to end up watching it again. You know, and I think for us in this time, it really gave us something to look forward to every week to kind of get our minds off what's going on in the world.
Right. Absolutely. And you talked about watching Last Dance. When it came down to Jerry Krause, and you played for Jerry Krause, I'm sure he was within your draft process. Did you look at him different and go, man, I didn't know that about Jerry? Or did you say, man, okay, this was the same guy who drafted me. I see his personality, respect to Jerry Krause. What was it like watching and going, what were your dealings with him? Or I guess your first interactions and knowing that he was a part of building those Bulls teams?
He deserves a lot of credit because some of the moves he made weren't like viewed in the best light. But also the core of Jordan and Jerry's competitiveness is, I mean, their problem is competitiveness. Jordan was like, nah, think about it now in today's game. The best player in the world, whoever you say it is, has the kind of power to be like, I want this guy on my team, I want this, I want that, right? Even Jerry said Jordan never did that. But Jordan said, keep what we got and let us keep going. And Jerry, with his competitiveness, like, no, I put this thing together. I think I know when it's time to tear it apart. Obviously, as a fan of the Bulls and a fan of Jordan, I would love to see them continue. Right. But, I mean, Jerry can't get that much flack. He put the whole thing together. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting dynamic. I spent a lot of hours in his office talking to him basketball-wise. Like, for example, Jerry truly believed in the summer of 2000, go look it up, Grant Hill, T-Mac, and Tim Duncan were free agents. Mm-hmm. He told me personally, he wholeheartedly believed we were going to get all three of them.
How?
That was his competitiveness because he was like, Chicago's a great city. We got young talent. We got a bunch of money. Why wouldn't they want to come? That was his way as a GM of thinking about it. And, you know, that's my rookie year. So I'm like, okay, if you think we're going to get him, we're going to get him. I wasn't in the business side of how things are looked at. Like you just said, how? If somebody told you as a rookie, hey, we don't get these, so you'd be like, oh, that's what's up. You wouldn't be like, how? But you've been through the business now. Now you see, like, you know, how could that be possible? But he believed it. And I think at the root of their issue was competitiveness. Jerry thought, you know, this way, and MJ thought this way. But at some point, it worked. I mean, they won 6 championships.
I mean, listen, like, Mike was obviously Mike. He did his thing. The closest thing to Mike as far as, like, skill-wise in our generation was probably Kobe Bryant. Yeah. Talk to me about going against Kobe Bryant. Any moments you guys had where you were just like, yo, this dude is incredible. Like, for me, when Kobe Bryant one time came down and laid me with a left-hand floater at 6'6", that's why I was like, yo, this dude on something. Like, every year he added something different to his game. And one year he came down and hit me with a lefty floater. I was like, yo, this dude has everything. Like, when you played against Kobe, give me a moment where you were just like, yo, this dude, he next level. If he ain't Mike, he the closest one.
Yeah. So B, to answer that in a couple of different ways, Kobe's the best player I ever played against, especially at my position. Like, he was the best. And the thing that separated him, like we talked about, is mentality. His skill level was out of this world, but his mentality was to kill every single second. It wasn't just to score. He was trying to take your spirit when he scored. He was trying to take your heart. Like, he was trying to hold it up like, I'm taking his heart in front of everybody. And he did that every single night. And like you said, he did this and he added something all the time. I remember hearing a story about him before I got a chance to really know him, where he worked out and he did the same shot. This is literally, and you know how it is, mentally, he did the same little mid-range shot for an hour and a half. It was one shot, like just one little, and I'm like, just mentally, not saying it's a hard thing to do, but mentally to stay in that place for an hour and a half. Like, okay,
stay in the zone.
Right, he just stayed in his place, and he did that for every single move he had. So that's why he was a master. Like, he was a master basketball player. And Kobe studied the greats. I remember one time, this is when I started getting a chance to know, we were at Richard Sherman's softball game. And he told me a story about how Michael Jackson had become a great mentor for him. Like, and he's like, he went and picked the brains of all the greatest people because he was chasing that. Like, Kobe, you know, and you've heard this, and we've all heard it many times. This person's the next Jordan. Like, Kobe wholeheartedly chased that and became the closest thing we ever seen to him. Like, he didn't just halfway chase, like, yeah, I'm going to get the accolades that come with being that. He put it in the work and tried to go study the greats. No, I'm going to pick Jordan's brain. Where do you think Kobe got working out at 6 a.m. from? With Jordan's Breakfast Club. Yep. So Kobe said, okay, you're doing it at 6. I'm going to get up and do it at 5. I'm going to do it at 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was really experienced. And I commend him for it. And then, like, it's just heartbreaking because I see, like, how he started to open up and people started to see that side of him. He had the Pro-Am, going back to the Pro-Am, there was the Sherman softball game. Everybody, when somebody comes to Seattle, they're like, okay, Jamal, get him to the Pro-Am. So it's Kobe, right? We've talked. We ain't never really talked like that. So I'm like, man, Cole, we're at the softball game. I'm like, man, when you come to this Pro-Am, everybody think you come. He's like, okay, so you playing? I said, he said, I'll come. The dude from Nike, I ain't gonna say his name, was like, nah, Cole, we got to get back to L.A. Cole's like, no, I'm going to watch Jamal play. He brought his family, his wife, his daughters, and came and watched me play the Pro-Am at the drop of a hat. And he had every reason in the world to be like, nah, I'll come back. You know, I got to get back to L.A. I already had this plan, anything. Like, the person he was is what people in the stories they start hearing after he passed, that's who he was.
Fam, speaking of Kobe, and we talked about on the court, the one thing is Kobe would go and pick the brain of someone who did something great. He'd say, Reggie Miller, you know, how do you come off a pin down?
Right.
Hey, Mike, you know, what are your reads off the pinch post? And, you know, they've gone back and forth. Fam, you're one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. Ball handling, dribbling. When they say the ball is on the string, you go down. I say, you, Kyrie, white chocolate. I mean, you're one of the greatest ball we've ever. Have you and Kobe had that discussion? Have you hit Kobe with some sauce? Because I know you. When somebody, when somebody slides that, you know who coming out. And I know Mama done took the challenge a couple times.
So I got a story. So I was playing in Atlanta. I've never told this story, actually. So y'all getting this fresh, too.
Okay.
So we were in Atlanta, and we played the Lakers, and we beat them. And I had some nice moves in the game. So afterwards, this is, and you know how it is, you going from the locker room to the bus, a little area there. And Kobe, we had never really talked like that, but it was always respecting game. So Kobe says across the little hallway when people were there, he's like, hey, can I cuss on here? I'm sorry. Can I?
Yeah, you can curse.
Right now. Okay. He was like, hey, he said, hey, can't nobody grow all that shit. I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, who is he talking to? He ain't never really talk like that. And he's like, I looked around, he's like, hey, he said, come here, man, can't nobody, he started doing his hands, like, can't nobody grow all that shit. He's like, man, you got the ball on the string. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, man, you know, I'm just like honored that he's even saying something like that. Right. So that was it. And the crazy thing, I've never told this, you getting this about Kobe too. So the last time I ever saw him in person was at the WNBA All-Star game in Vegas this summer. So he's on the court. I'm probably a row or two up. So he didn't really see me until I got to leave. I left a little bit earlier than he did. And so when I got up, he saluted me and he started doing like the behind the back dribble when he was sitting down. Like, right. And then he touched his chest and I said, what's up? And I left. That was the last time I ever seen Kobe. And that was this summer he was there with his daughter. He was at the All-Star game, WNBA All-Star game. Last time we ever seen each other.
Yeah, Cole was really on his way to doing something different because Kobe was so closed and guarded when he was in his prime to see him open up and then open up like the Mamba Academy, he was trying to give back to the young guys. Like, we really haven't seen a lot of superstars just say, hey, I want to take my gifts and give it back to the young guys. So Kobe's death hit different because I think that his second act was going to be just as good or better than his first.
Without a doubt. And you see that from the stuff he had set up with body armor and the Mamba Academy and like everything he was doing. Us knowing Kobe, there's no way that he wasn't going to give his all and maximize his all and figure out a way to be just as impactful, if not more impactful in the second act. We all know that, right? Like, we all know that's what drives Kobe, and that's what makes him different. You know, to me, like, we see the list and Kobe's 9 and all these crazy. There's not 5 basketball players better that's ever played basketball that's better than Kobe Bryant.
Tougher. Who do you think is the best between Kobe and Bron? You got rated Kobe or Bron? Who you got?
Man, I hate doing this. I
know you do.
Okay, well, give me.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Jamal. Because I think it's more fair to judge Kobe versus Bron because they were in the same era. Kobe, like MJ versus Bron is unfair because the game was played differently. The rules are different. But Kobe versus Bron, that's fair. They were winning titles, you know. Hey, when Kobe was winning titles, Bron was in the league. Bron won a couple titles. Kobe was in the league. Like, that's a fair argument.
Fam, I can give you a safe one. What was your mindset when you had to play Mamba in his prime versus going against LeBron and seeing what he was doing? What was the game plan on stopping them? And I'm not saying you were trying to play some defense, fam, because you know I did that for you on the back line.
You covered for me.
But give me the scouting report like, dang, Bron hit us with the ooh-wee. You know, what you got?
I'm going to even go with both you guys said. I think, to me, it's just apples to oranges because they just play 2 different styles. Like, even when people compare Bron to Jordan, to me, Bron's matchup is Magic. He plays more like Magic Johnson than he does Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Exactly. So I think they're like apples to oranges. If you told me Kobe was better, I would say, okay, I see your argument. Like, I get it. If you said Bron was better, I'd be like, okay, I see your argument because they just do 2 totally different things. Their mindsets are totally different on the court, right? Like, and I know, like, the numbers are what they are, but I get into the eye test. When I see the skill and I look at them and I see, you know what I mean, what's driving them. Like, Bron thrives on getting other people going first. Like, he thrives on getting people the ball, right? Kobe's like, no, I'm the person to get the ball. Like, I want to do this. So it just depends on what you want. Like, you can like apples and oranges or bananas and, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what depends. They're both great. To me, they're both among the top 5 players ever play.
Golly. Fam, let me throw this to you as we're on LeBron James. When LeBron came into the league,
oh, man,
there was a target on his back because there was so much hype. And you, myself, B, I know you could speak for this. It was like, I got to see if he's the real deal. When was that moment when you were competing against LeBron where he took down the lane, had a dunk, maybe he saw a vision and you was like, nah, he's that dude? Or like, you saw, when did you see like what play was it like, nah, he legit?
So let me go back a little bit. When we were talking about the Jordan runs in the summer, that's where I first met LeBron.
Oh.
He was coming up to the run. So seeing him in the league, we already had a relationship. Like, I already knew him at that point. You know what I mean? So the first day, I remember a quote, and Danny Ainge said this. He said, there's not 5 people in the NBA I would take over LeBron James right now. And everybody in the league at the time was like, whoa, like, hold on, that's pretty bold, right? This 2003. So you got Kobe, T-Mac, everybody in their prime. I'm like, whoa, right? You got everybody. So, but he said that.
Shaq.
Garnett.
Everybody. So when he said, you can go back and look that up. I'm sure it was in the Sports Illustrated, I think. But the crazy part about it is LeBron had chosen one, right? On the cover of Sports Illustrated, this kid is chosen one. LeBron, I was like, there's no way. The hype is just not fair. LeBron's so good, he surpassed the hype. LeBron got a $90 million deal before he stepped on the court to play.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, the target he had, this guy is so good, he surpassed all of that. Like, that in itself should be applauded. Like, he was set up to fail, to be honest with you. He has so much hype. And, like, there's shows now that are making money just off LeBron. They debate him for the whole time. I'm not going to say names, but I'm just watching, like.
We already know. Hey, in these COVID-19 times, they ain't got nothing to do but debate LeBron James.
LeBron, and for him not to lose his sanity and still be the player he is, be the person he is like, that's just, that's a win in itself. Like, that's crazy to me because I remember being in the league when he had that hype, and this dude surpassed the hype. And the crazy part is he surpassed it years ago. Like, he surpassed the hype a decade ago. Like, this dude has been, he's unbelievable. And that's why I think he's one of the best players to ever play basketball.
Was there ever a specific play? Like, for me, obviously in DC, we had those battles against Cleveland. But there was one play, I don't remember who turned it over, but I was hustling back on defense and somebody threw LeBron a lob, and like, this is what I think we had the black and gold unis on.
Yeah.
LeBron caught this lob all the way from Akron and brought it back to Cleveland. I was like, when they threw it, I was like, oh, that's a turnover. And then I was like, when I saw him do that, you might even remember the play. When I saw Bron catch that lob, I was like, yo, I know he's good, but he got a gear that nobody else in the NBA has. I remember going back calling my boy. I was like, yo, if he's not the greatest player ever, by the time he's retired, he didn't achieve what he was supposed to. That's how good he is. Did you have a play like that?
So there was two plays. There's one in high school. You remember he went through his legs and dunked. Yeah. And some people are like, yeah, but that's high school. I'm like, yeah, but the rim's still 10 feet. For him to do that in a game, like to even think that and have that athleticism, I'm like, that's crazy. There's one play I was with the Knicks, and he's with Cleveland, and he ripped me at half court. It wasn't like an open court. I lost ball, whatever. And when he took off, all I saw was his jersey. So at first, I thought it was a guard. I was really quick at the time. I wasn't even close to catch. I'm like, that was LeBron? Like, it looked like a Ferrari just took off. Like, man, what was that? Right? He took off, and he dunked this. That play, I was like, oh. But I knew he was serious from game one against Sacramento. All the hype coming in that game and how easy he was making the game look against, like, great defenders, Doug Christie, and great teams. The Kings was nice at the time.
Yeah, so, Kings were ballers back then.
It was balling back then. So I thought day one he was serious.
Fam, I gotta throw this to you too, man. We need a little more insider before we get a little bit more inside information.
Go for it.
Now, when I was debating free agency after we made that run, after LeBron knocked us out, don't really want to talk about that, but we're on the LeBron topic. This is new for me. You were one of the first free agents. You just signed with the Clippers, and you reached out and hit me. Yeah. And I was like, man, what's going on right here? And you said, listen, put our differences aside. I'm trying to play with you.
Hold on a second. Put y'all differences aside. Y'all have beef?
We kind of have. Fam,
whoa. We can't skip over that. Y'all have beef?
Tell them the story, Ryan. You got to tell
the story. So for those who know, like, man, I'm out on the court to compete. I love basketball. I'm playing.
Nah, you out on the court to hack. Let's keep it a buck.
No. I'm hooping, dog. I'm hooping. Loving the game. And I forget if Jamal was in New York or where he was, but Jamal's kind of killing us. And Jamal's not the greatest defender. So Jamal's really easy to screen. So I was tearing Jamal up on the screen. And Jamal looks at me and, man, this dude, 6'6", 190, you know what I'm saying, in shape. He goes, man, I'm going to F you up if you do that again.
Whoa!
Jamal, like, hey, Jamal, yes, the nicest guy on the planet.
I lost my mind for a minute.
Hey, so I was like, I looked at him and I'm like, man, whatever, dog. And he kept woofing like he was coming at me. I'm like, hey, dog, like, I'm gonna see you after the game. Like, okay, like that's what you want. You all right? Like, and we were really going at it the whole game. And what's funny is I forget what happened. It was like a rebound or sudden. Jamal was in. I went to lay him out, and he got out the way. He looked at me. He said, he pulled me to the side, grabbed my jersey, and it was only me and him here. He said, Big fella, there's no way I fight you. Big fella, I'm just playing with you. You know that, fam. You know that, big fella. But he was like, man, Ryan, I know you're not tripping off that, whatever. I need you to come. And for me, for a guy who I battle with to reach out, it meant everything. And you had your battles with LeBron. Now, is it true? Can you confirm or deny? And if you confirm, we need the details that Bron reached out to you and at what point in the career said, I need Jamal Crawford with me.
So one time, there's a tweet going around right now, actually. There's a tweet I saw that when he asked me and Steve Nash to come to Miami. And that was one time. And then the second time was before I went to Minnesota. I talked to him and about going to Cleveland. So, yeah, we talked. But like I said, me and Bron have a relationship since he was in high school. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like out the ordinary for us to talk anyway. You know what I mean? It wasn't like when me and you, we got into it and I still called you. This was like me and him had known each other for a while. So it was just, he was just checking to see what was going on with the situation. Because at the time, I just got traded from the Clippers. So he was just kind of checking to see what was up. But yeah,
and real quick, sorry to cut you off.
No.
When we got into it, now on a side note, you're the nicest guy on the planet. This is on document every single day. It's not fake. Was that something you learned from MJ? Like when we were playing, I was surprised because I was like, no, this dude is a scorer. He's soft. All he cared about scoring. But like, it was personal. I was thrown back. Like Jamal Crawford is low key tough. Like you are a bit of a trash talker on the low. So was that something you saw MJ do and said, I'm gonna put this in my game?
It's not something I saw that he did, but I think that's something he saw that I did. And that he was like, oh, I can rock with young fella. You know what I mean? Because the thing about me is, to be honest with you, I don't ever really talk trash on the court. But if I do start talking, then I won't stop. Like I got away with words in some ways when it comes to the trash, just being around OGs and, you know what I mean, growing up like that. So I don't do too much talking. But when I do, then I can say some stuff. I've learned a thing or two. But MJ, he definitely saw that.
Don't feel bad, Jamal. Ryan irritates everybody. All I took away from that story.
Ryan's the best teammate ever, though.
Yes,
like
he's a great guy. I've known him since he played in Charlotte. We've been friends, but he will. All I took from that story is that he irritated you, one of the nicest guys in the NBA. And there's another story where he almost gets in a fight with Tim Duncan. If you can almost fight Tim Duncan and Jamal Crawford, you might be the most irritating NBA player in NBA history. Straight up, fam. Straight up. How do you piss off these two guys?
Hey, you need to go tell somebody's couch, man. You need to go talk to somebody.
Hey, fam, real talk. Some of our best practices with the Lob City Clippers, I don't know where it came from. You and DeAndre would get into it, but y'all would say stuff that was bordering on like, he'd be like, you soft as tissue paper. You'd be like, man, make a free throw, bum. But like, they would hug afterwards. But our practices would get lit out of nowhere and be like, yo, like, because me, Jamal, Bled, Lamar Odom, we were all on the second team. And we go out like, man, we got to pop y'all. Because them CP and Blake, them dudes didn't want to practice every day. Like, but it was on.
But it made our both sides good. If you go back and look, I guarantee you, there was a stretch where the starters didn't play the fourth quarter for almost a month. Like, our second unit was just killing people. But playing against them dudes every day in practice, you're going to be better. And like you said, me and DJ went at it because first, we knew we could handle it. And two, he was the mouthy one in their unit, always talking, and I was the one on our unit, right? So if I'm the scorer and he's supposed to be the captain of defense, we're going to collide. And some days they're going to win, some days we're going to win. But it made us all sharp. And to me, to be honest with you, that was probably my favorite Clippers team to play on out of the 5 years. That was my favorite, the first year.
All right. Hey, Jamal, we're not going to keep you too much long. We're going to wrap it up soon. But I thought something was interesting towards the end of your career. Because most guys at the end of their career, you can kind of sense it. Like for me, my last game, I didn't know it was going to be my last game. I was in the NBA Finals. I thought I might play, but I understood I might not get picked up next year. My foot's been hurt. I'm not getting a lot of minutes. The league is changing. It is what it is. Dog, your last game, you had 52 points. You ruined Dirk Nowitzki's retirement party, and you were 18 for 30. Like, what? Like, where are you with that? Do you feel like, yo, I dropped 52, I should have a job, or is that like the perfect ending for you?
I'm gonna tell you the truth. So, going into the season, and it all makes sense. Going into the season, I didn't know we were gonna like start rebuilding. Right? They were like, we need experience in the backcourt. We got Trevor Ariza at the forward. We got Tyson Chandler at the center. We need a guard in the backcourt experience. We're trying to make the playoffs. I'm like, cool. Boom. Fast forward within a month of the season. Trevor's gone, Tyson's gone, and Ryan Anderson's not playing. Us four are the only vets. So now, obviously, we're rebuilding. So, and I'm playing point guard, by the way. I'm the backup point guard. So, like, I'm fighting different battles, and I'm away from my family for the first time. So I'm like, man, but I'm going to try to make the best of it. So when that last month came, go back and look, it wasn't just that game. That was, believe it or not, that was my highest scoring month in my career. I averaged 31 points in the month of April.
Wow.
All off the bench. And more importantly, we won half the games. And that was saying a lot because we only won like 17, 19 games. We won half the games. So I'm thinking, I'm going to tell you the truth. I needed 25 points my last game to be me and Kobe is the only people to have 25, 3 straight games in their this late in their career. You're 19 or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get 25 going into the fourth. And I see y'all had GP on. I told GP, he was in the crowd, asked GP. I was like, GP, this before the game, I'm putting on a show tonight. So I had 25 going into the fourth. I'm like, oh man. Before I knew it, I had 38 with 8 minutes to go. And that was the first time I thought about 50. Because I've had big scoring games off the bench, but I didn't think there was just enough time to get 50 off the bench. But to get 51 points off the bench, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 7 3, we was down 30. We got to 4. And this is Dirk's night, so we wasn't going to win. Let's just put that out there. We was not going to win. This is Dirk's night. It was unbelievable. But, like, Kobe's, the only person who scored more in their last game was Kobe. But he planned on going out. I had no idea that was going to be my last game, right? So it's just crazy. I think age is working against me, but I think age is only issue when it starts to show. If it's showing, then okay, you can kind of use that. Even then, this guy has been through the wars. What better way to have a vet in any field, whether it's journalism, media, basketball, football, baseball, Microsoft, whatever, what better way to have somebody's career kind of have a solid foundation than having a vet in that career to help them guide them? Don't make this mistake. Oh, do this. We all know what vets meant to us, right? Yes. So I was shocked, to be honest with you. And it's tough, but it gives me a peace if that's it, because I still showed I could still be me and still do what I've always done and make history. To break my favorite player ever's record as the oldest player to ever score 50, to ever score the most points off the bench in a game in history, to be the only player in history to score 50 with 4 different teams. Like, if that's the way God said it, maybe God was like, hey, I'm going to let you go out the right way. So who knows? You know what I mean? But either way, I can't lose, because if not, I'll be in my family and be in my next phase of basketball. So it's a blessing.
All right, fam. Ooh, that's dope, man. That's deep right there, brother. Last two things. Mm-hmm. Apparently, you challenged MJ to a 3-point shootout. Is this
so much
accurate?
Cap. I'm going to use one of these young kids' words. That's cap right there. I don't know where this story came from. And I wasn't going to say that until people was like, did you lose it? Like, MJ, like, looked out for me in every sense of the word. I've never bet him in anything. Part of the story is true because, I lost some stuff, but it wasn't to him. Like, I took some hard lessons growing up in not making always the right decision, especially as a rookie. But it wasn't to him. Like, he's the only person, one of the only few in Chicago that was, like, looking out for me all the way. So, no, that's not true.
Okay, yeah, because the story says y'all bet so crazy that it's to the point where he walks away with your bins. No.
Yeah.
What?
He took off the plates and left. I saw that story, but that's not true. He only
pretty much they bet so far. They're betting his Ferrari versus his Benz, and thank you, Jamal is clearing that up. All right. Well, this is our last story. This is gold.
Well, hold on. First off, how can you beat Michael Jordan anything? That's betting the bank. At some point, the bank's gonna win, right?
Yep.
No, you ain't betting him.
Hey, I've been on a lot of planes with MJ. A lot of the guys lost a lot of money trying to bet against the bank. The house always wins. That's what they say in Vegas.
Always wins.
Because he's not going to stop.
That house is going to win.
Yeah, he's not going to stop. He's going to pressure you until he got everything.
I already know his competitiveness and how sick that is. Like, I'm not going to keep betting him. I ain't going to never be able. It's a no-win situation. Let's say I win the first 5.
He's going to keep betting.
5. Yeah, until he wins. I'm not doing that.
All right, fam. I got the goal for you now. So we've been asking all our guests, we need your best club or celebrity moment. For me, it was playing in Minnesota. I'm in the club. Black Eyed Peas are there. It's popping. The whole team is there. And Prince comes through that bad boy. When I say Prince whisked through the club, I thought, man, I didn't know. I thought I was in a dream, fam. Fam, I thought I was in a dream. And he walked by. The club was full. Next thing I know, the club was like a ghost town. It was empty. I didn't know what just happened. But Prince walked through. I never forget. And no, Brendan, I didn't look him in the eyes, okay?
I understand. And I wasn't going to say nothing. I wasn't going to say nothing.
Fam, do you have a club or celebrity or lounge or just something where you like, man, like, this was dope. This was dope. This is my favorite, whatever.
I'm going to tell you a story, and I've never told this either. I'm going to tell you a story, and it's going to tie Michael Jordan and Jay-Z together. So, so
I like the way this starts out already. Hey, you can't lose with this story, Jordan and Jay-Z.
I'm going to give you a 2 for 1. Never told the story. So me and MJ had got so tight. I already told you, I'm going to his house. He picked me up in a commercial. Like, he helped me with my doctor for my ACL. Like, we got tight. We got so tight that I was like, I want to meet Jay-Z. He's like, you want to meet Jay-Z? I say, I want to meet Jay-Z. Fast forward, right? So a few weeks may go by, a month go by, or whatever. I see MJ, Oak, Twan Walker. They're all about to walk in a restaurant. I say what's up to all of them. I see Worldwide West. Shout out to Worldwide West. I see Worldwide West. and I just tore my ACL. So Worldwide West is like, Ma, why you ain't on crutches? I'm like, no. I'm like, they had a drain in my knee. I got to wait a couple weeks. I'm getting the surgery. So Wes is standing outside of a black SUV on the corner. It looked like he's standing outside of a car or whatever. He's trailing the group. He's about to walk in. So I get close to Wes. So I'm coming from across the street. I get close to Wes. And when I get close to him, I don't know how they set this up. The window goes down. When the window goes down, it's Jay-Z.
Oh.
And he starts laughing. He's like, what's up, young? I said, oh, shit. And I backed up just like that. I said, oh. So MJ, I had told him that. Maybe he told Wes, I don't know. I've never asked Wes that. Or Wes just hit it on time. However, if Wes knew I loved him, I don't know how it went. But that's how they tied together. I met Jay-Z, and then our relationship took off. He picked me to be in the S. Carter shoe. Oh, I got another story. I'm going to say that for another time, but about Jay. But nah, so yeah, MJ and Jay-Z. Yep.
That's cold. That's cold right there. Hey, anytime you can tie MJ and Jay-Z in a story, listen, that's going to be a great story. I don't think there's a better way for us to end than that right there.
Absolutely.
Jay-Z got out the truck and we all went with MJ. We all hung out at the restaurant that night, and that was it.
Okay, we got to get part 2 now, fam. He just let the TV continue, fam. Let's get that for another day.
I ain't thought about it in a while, man. You guys pulling it out me.
Hey, man, we'll shoot, fam. Listen, it's definitely been a blessing. Appreciate you coming on. We know you're dealing with family and running around. And listen, man, I like to just say this to you from my heart, man. One of the best teammates guys I've ever played with. I would love and pray that you play in the NBA again. I know you got a lot of miles left. If it doesn't happen, man, you are one of the legends that we have ever seen in the game of basketball.
Hood legend. I love it. Hood legend.
Yeah. Not just in the hood. In the NBA too, you're definitely a legend. What you did off the bench, not a lot. Like you're in that elite category. You, Lou Williams, Vinny the Microwave Johnson, guys that could just come off the bench and give their team a lift. Every team needs that. So you're not just a hood legend, the NBA legend as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I got so much respect for both of y'all. I love the transition, man. Y'all make it look good. Thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having you on, Jamal.
All right,
sir. Thanks, y'all. You already know.